Hello, and welcome to the Practice Marketing Podcast, highlighting successful strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics and experts so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. I'm your host, Neil Trickett, CEO of Practice Promotions, and today's focus, we're going to talk about how to leverage social media to build your practice. And I'm really honored here to have a good friend, Rick Lau and Shada Ravi here from Clinic Accelerator Call Hero, and they're going to share with us lots of cool things that they're doing right now from the social media perspective. So great to have you guys on here, and looking forward to jumping into this really relevant topic for clinics.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Neil. It was nice to see you in person in Florida. We all hung out in Florida as well, right?
That's right, at the Clinic Boss Summit. Lots of great collaboration there. We had a few hundred clinic
Yeah,
owners at the event, so that was really popular. And one of the topics down there, what Shada presented on was social media, right? And how to use social media in your clinic. So looking forward to learning from you here, Shada, and sharing with our audience some of those great tips that you've been implementing for other clinics all around Canada and the US.
yeah,
Yeah,
super, super cool.
I think it's a big topic right now. And yeah, again, thanks for having us, Neil. I think there's a lot of mystery around Gen Z, so I'm happy to kind of break the ice and spill the secrets of, how do you appeal to this demographic of people when recruiting or even like people that you're working with right now.
Mhm. Yeah, us talk about that because a lot of practice owners, hey, we're all like middle aged, and up a little bit. So we'd love to be able to like tap into that younger crowd. Sometimes the clinics have a little bit older demographic that they're just used to from current methods, whether it's referrals from doctors or the finding them online, things like that. But how can that practice owner start to tap into that younger crowd that's coming up and they're having sports injuries and all kinds of other aches and pains, your Gen Zs and your millennials? So how can they start to think of it this way and tap into this resource?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to think about is what has the attention of this demographic. And of course, we're talking about social media. That's where everyone's spending their time, not only Gen Z and millennials, but a lot of people now. So it is a big factor in how you get access to these people is how are you showing up on these platforms? Because it is something that we're always using to be entertained, but also to be doing our research on different things like where do I want to travel to? Where do I want to eat at? Where do I want to work? I think these are all things that back in the day, maybe we used to like go to websites and go to Google, but now, like when I look at me and my friends, we're just going directly to these different social platforms instead, and we're just skipping the website altogether. So I think that's kind of a mindset shift where our like the Gen Z generation is just going straight to the platform, and that's why businesses, especially like practice owners, really need to actually invest the time and look at their online presence and how they're showing up. Because I think most clinics do not. And it's more of just like another thing on the to-do list to do, and they just don't really pay attention to it. I don't know if you would agree with that, but that's what I see. I see very few clinics actually crushing it on social right now.
Yeah, and Rick, you work with, thousands of clinics, so like you probably see this. I see it a lot too. Like clinics don't really tap into social media the way they should, but from your
Yeah,
experience, what do you see?
yeah, Neil, I agree with you. Like, I'm kind of like me and you are kind of the same. Me and you are in the same generation. I think we call ourselves what Gen Y. Shit, is this what you call us? Are we Gen Y? Or are
I
we
think we're Gen
Boomers?
X, right? We're Gen X, right?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
not the
Gen X,
boomers.
not the Boomers, right?
Not the boomers.
All right, we're Gen X's, right? And I agree with you. Like, as you guys know, like for people know, like I'm the CEO of Clinic Accelerator. So we have this clinic owner community. We work with like thousands of clinics kind of in our community, and we help them like, make more money and build teams and all that stuff. And we do see this divide. We see, where like some of the people like in my generation is they haven't adopted some of these best practices or what's trending right now, like with like social media, online marketing, the stuff that you do, Neil, right? And then you also see this whole emerging class, these clinic owners who are millennials and Gen Zs, and you're seeing them build their practices off social media, right?
Mhm.
And it's insane when I see this because this would never happen maybe like 10 years ago, right, Neil? Right.
Right.
And so what's happening now is that like with these practices is that like because their social media brand is like so strong, it allows them to not only like build a brand in their local community and work with like different like employers, local businesses, within that community to track the next generation of new patients, but it also helps them with recruitment because all these new grads coming out of school
Hmm.
are in that cohort.
Right.
And Neil, we know this, like, the if you look at all the business owners within practice promotion or within Clinic Accelerator, the number one problem we have right now within our community actually is with like hiring like a
Hmm.
physical therapist working in your practice, right?
Yeah,
And we're still
absolutely.
using a lot of these like outdated um yeah, marketing methods,
Hmm.
or recruitment funnels that don't work anymore, right?
Right. Well, and then I think too, like if you're it's a competition for talent these days. It really is. It's heavy and it's across the board, but especially we see it in physical and physiotherapy, right? And you have to have that online presence. You have to be everywhere. We're just talking about like omni-channel. You have to be everywhere, right? And your Gen Z new grads are coming out. They're looking all over social. They want to see what it's like working at your clinic and all these other clinics, and they're comparing you, right? They're comparing you to all these competitors out there, and even people that are been in their current job maybe a couple years. They're maybe something happens. They're not quite happy, and they want to start looking around. Well, what they start looking around, they start looking online, they start seeing what their friends are saying, their colleagues, and then they start to go deeper and they check out, right? They check deeper into your social profiles, but then they check, your reviews online. They check out what other people are saying about you, what it's like to work there, and they check out your website and all this kind of stuff. So I do think having that really strong social media presence can definitely help you with that recruiting challenge that most practices have today. And Shada, is that something that you've been working with clinics on?
Yeah, we've been working with quite a few clinics because I mean, over the last few years through CA, I've kind of been teaching all of the social media things, and it's really it's not an easy thing to implement consistently long term to do it the right way. I think a lot of clinics, they can just slap up the stock photo or just, a fun graphic and call it a day. And that might have worked a few years ago, but now it's honestly maybe better not to have a social media presence if that's what you're doing, to be honest,
Mhm.
because it's just not going to move the needle. It's not going to resonate with people, especially the new grads we're talking about. When they go to your profile, they're just going to see that there's no faces, there's no one behind this. And because we're in a people business, that's really what people want to be seeing as like current and new patients, but also as, people thinking about potentially working at this business. And it's
Yeah,
funny because, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's the same issue that I've just seen for years and years working in marketing with clinics, and it's that the clinics that really focus on gathering that content from within the clinic, and they're proud of taking video and photo, and they love to showcase their culture and what it's all about. They're the ones that can then use that within social media. But then the clinics that are maybe the clinic owner's too busy and they don't really put much attention on getting that kind of content within the clinic. They whether it's social media, whether it's online newsletters or whatever their emails or whatever they're using, they don't really have the assets from within the clinic to use.
Yeah. Hey Shada, I want to pick on you because you're a Gen Z, and all your friends are kind of like in that same cohort. And so help me understand like what is like what's important to like a Gen Z right now when it comes to them making decisions on employment or purchasing decisions. Like can maybe describe the behaviors of like actually what they do and what the process is, right?
Yeah, so I think for me and my friends, when I look at it, like, yes, money is always a factor. But beyond that, it's really like, do I see myself working with these people? Like, would I enjoy my day to day? Because I'm going to be spending almost like a big chunk of my life with these people. Can I see myself in this type of culture? Do I resonate with it? So, like, we were talking about online dating and how, like, with Daryl on Community Live, we were talking about online dating and how you use the same strategies with recruiting. And so one thing that we'll do is I don't know if you guys have tried online dating, but it's very common among the Gen Zs. And so you kind of hook someone in through a different platform. So in this case, let's say an Indeed job ad, they see that your clinic is hiring. But then what are you going to do after that? You're going to go like stalk them online and see what are they about? What do they have online? What information can I find out about these people? And that's exactly what my friends and I will do. Like if we're thinking about not only jobs, but like restaurants or whatever it is, we'll go and kind of take a look at their Instagram, their LinkedIn, Google reviews, yes, maybe their website, but we're going to do like an online screening basically and see and put ourselves in the shoes of, okay, can I see myself working here
Mhm.
based on
And
what
it,
I know?
and I think something you said, Shada, I remember you talked to me like a month ago, is that like it's not only that you look at what's happening at the clinic's account, you're also looking at the people attached to the clinic, right? So you're actually going that next level where like you're actually like researching the people that actually work there and what their day-to-day lives looks like. So it's like really like doing like call it your reference checks.
100%. Like literally in 5 minutes, my friends can find out like, oh, like this is the brother of someone that works at this clinic. Like we are definitely good detectives in terms of like when it comes to online. So definitely I'm going to look at who works there, what do they have on their personal profiles, what does the clinic owner do, like what's their story, and I find that out through not only your website, because again, we view websites as it's important, of course, but we know that you guys put it together. So we like to see it like from a less um like in a more casual way. How are you guys like showing up online?
Authentic way,
More
right?
authentic. That's what I meant. Yes.
Yeah.
Authentic
And
and raw, like behind the scenes, like your POVs. Like you want to see the POV,
POV. Yeah, look at
the
that Gen Z
POV,
vocab.
the POV of what your clinic looks like and the patients you work with and like the interactions day to day, not the branded corporate like view that, or that
yeah.
Yeah.
professional medical look that you see in
And
most clinics
we see
have, right?
this across a lot of healthcare professions, right? You see the fun videos of the nurses, right? And all the silly things that go on behind the scenes there. And that again makes it authentic and you start to gravitate towards that clinic. So I think it's, sometimes we think that we have to be this very polished professional look, but that social media is where you can actually have a bit more fun and be more authentic, right? And you can show those inner workings of the clinic and the fun that the team's having with each other, and the things that you do to build that culture, right, and that experience within the clinic.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
Neil,
that's
I'm
such a
curious.
good I was just gonna say that's such a good point because when you also think about why people are using social, it's not to like be super corporate, it's actually to be entertained. Like that's
Right.
really why I'm on Instagram. So if you show up just like with super picture perfect headshot all the time, I'm really not going to resonate with that when I'm going to this platform to be entertained by maybe like other things. So when I look at the clinics that really crush it on social, it's that they make their stuff entertaining. They're showing like the fun in their team, exactly what you said, Neil. And that's how their content resonates with people, not only like people you're trying to recruit, but just people on the platform.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Neil, I'm curious, you know, like you work with a lot of clinics, and build their online brand, and their websites. I think you do social media as well, right, Neil? Like you're kind of like
Yeah.
one stop.
Yep.
When you look at all the different clients you work with, like, what percent do you think want that medical professional look versus having that fun and entertaining social media side, Like, what would you say the breakdown you would
Oh,
see
that's a good
within your
question.
community? Is it 50-50 or is it more 80-20? Like they want a professional? Because once again, I asked you this because when I look
Mhm.
at our Clinic Accelerator community where we have, over 1,000 like users in there, like I would say like 80% of it is that medical corporate professional like
Yeah.
stuffy doctor like feel, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you have 20% that are good at letting their hair down and showing that, and then
Yes.
80% that are a little going for that very, professional medical look. And I don't know, I think that can be sometimes just we're brought up in that world of like you have to be a medical provider, you have to be professional, you have to look professional, you're working with doctors, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, right? And it's the world's changed, right? The world's
Yeah,
changing. And I think that's sometimes hard, especially if you've been in practice for a while. It's kind of hard to sometimes make that shift in
yeah.
what's wanted by the world, right? And that's to show a little bit more of the personality of the clinic. Even the doctors, like even the like doctor clinics and stuff, you can have that. It's different media, right? So you wouldn't necessarily have like silly, crazy videos on your website, right? That's not necessarily the platform for it. But you can have your silly, fun videos more on your social media because again, it's for entertainment, right? It's a different perspective, and you expect to show something more from the inner workings on social media versus that kind of polished look that you would have.
POV,
Yeah.
POV.
And so for our
Hey,
listeners out there, Rick, what's POV?
I don't know. I just Shada tells me all the time. Shada, what is a POV? You know,
It's just point of view,
Point
like
of view. There you go.
POV, but it's like very
and
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I
what does
love
that mean? Like, it's like behind the scenes, right? You know, right?
Like
Is
you'll
that
see these, yeah, exactly. You'll see these videos like POV, what is it like being a physical therapist? And then it's like someone showing like these little clips
yeah,
of what it's actually like.
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
as we're starting to, obviously we're looking at, okay, we need to get new patients in the door, right? And we can leverage social media a lot to do that. And we need to recruit and we need to use social media a lot for that. Shada, in your experience as you're working with different clinics out there, what platforms are the best ones for people to focus on as they start to think about creating content within their clinic?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I really try to like be more of an omni-channel approach, like what we're talking about. If I
Mhm.
was to like really just choose a few top ones based on how your content can perform, I see a lot of success with YouTube Shorts right now. So I've had clinics, that have brand new channels, like 0 to 10 subscribers, and they're getting like 13,000 views, 20,000 views. So there's a lot of opportunity with YouTube and YouTube Shorts. And then also, of course, TikTok, there's a lot of reach potential there. I think Instagram you have to be on. Like that's really, I think that's the most used platform right now, especially among Gen Zs. So it's very competitive now. I think there's more content being published there than ever before and a lot of users. So it's harder to actually get content that performs really well. But those are the three that I would say like absolutely you should be focusing on. Facebook, organic is pretty tough. I don't know if you found the same. But unless you have a page built up already, it can be hard to get that type of reach that you could get on YouTube or TikTok.
Yeah,
data,
definitely.
which, but also depends on the types of like customers or patients you have at your clinic, right? Because if you have the older
Mm,
demographic, right, they're all like hanging out like on Facebook, right? You know, maybe less so on Instagram, you know. And so, but here's the thing is that like although your patients are hanging out, if majority of your patients are hanging out on Facebook, you know, because they're, maybe the older cohort or generation, if you want to bulletproof your patients for the, if you want to bulletproof your practice for the years to come, you have to be on the other social platform. You don't have a choice. Because these people will at a certain point will like not be around.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
10
yeah,
years from now it'll be different, right? We'll see what platforms
like
were.
yeah,
There'll be
like
probably another one that pops up, right?
yeah, there'll be
yeah,
some other platform.
and so I think like and here's the thing is that like and one channel they really talked about, which I think is important, is LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
LinkedIn for your personal brand is really important, because it helps you not only to do doctor marketing, Neil, like we talked about this, like, you're a big fan of using LinkedIn for doctor marketing. It'll help you with recruitment because people who are professionally checking you out, they're going to check you on LinkedIn, like what has this person done? Like, right. And then third is like if you're going to do collaborations or to do business development within your local community, like a lot of local business people are also on LinkedIn, right?
Mhm. Yeah, great connections on there.
I
And
would say
and
like you
would
have
that
to
be
be
a
in
little
all
bit
those channels.
and
Like
how,
I
and
don't
how
know,
would
Agreed.
do
you
you have a choice?
would you approach your video or photo content? Would that be the same that you would put on LinkedIn as you would say an Instagram post? Or would you have something a little bit different?
That's a tough one. I think yes, LinkedIn is a more professional platform, and that's like the angle that they took. But I wouldn't see why you wouldn't put the same type of content on like your clinic company page and even like your personal page, what Rick was talking about, because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a platform where even if I have a job, and we were talking about this too on another webinar, is job scrolling. Like everyone among Gen Zs, like everyone's job scrolling. They're always looking for like the best new job. Like where's the grass greener? And I think that is something unfortunately that I see a lot, and people think that 2 years at a job is a long enough time. So they're always just looking. And LinkedIn is one of those platforms where people, are scrolling through to see what's happening. So I would say from that perspective, I think I would prioritize putting more of like the clinic culture content on there, that you would put on your other platforms too. So maybe it's less of the educational content because it's not necessarily for new patients. It's
Mhm.
more from the recruitment perspective. So that's kind of how I would maybe categorize it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And I do see that. I do see, on LinkedIn that clinics do post some fun content and things like that. So I agree. I think it's important to
Yeah.
be on these different channels, and you can repurpose a lot of the same content, right, to be on these different channels, but make sure that you are doing it consistently, right?
You should share that story, that you talked about, I think in our community, like maybe a couple weeks ago, where um, you had this one piece of content on Instagram, which didn't do too well, but then that same content was published across like all the platforms, including, like TikTok, like YouTube, and
Mm.
and LinkedIn and Google Business Profile, and one of those platforms like took off, with a theme piece of content, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I definitely post across all the platforms, and a piece of content we put on Instagram got like 3,000 views, which is pretty good for this account. But then we posted it to YouTube Shorts and it got 13,000 views on an account that had 10 subscribers. So that's why, like, again, for the amount of effort it takes to like repost the same video, maybe slightly tweak the caption, for you to go from 3,000 to 13,000 views, it's just a no-brainer of why wouldn't you? The other thing to think of too is I have a lot of friends that boycott certain platforms for like their own reasons. So I have friends that won't go on Instagram, so they just don't have Instagram at all. So if they're thinking about working at your clinic and they don't have Instagram and they, are looking you up on TikTok or YouTube or something and you don't even have an account, they're just going to assume you guys, are not on the social media bandwagon maybe.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think it's so important to have a presence on each of the platforms. And again, like there's ways to push out, repurpose content easily in a timely manner where you don't have to spend a lot of time customizing it. But I definitely think, yeah, like it's worth taking the extra few minutes to push it out to the other platforms.
Do you want more freedom in your clinic? Then you need to work on your business, not just in it. The top practice owners know that they need a marketing system that consistently attracts patients from the internet. And at Practice Promotions, we've helped hundreds of practice owners skyrocket to the top of Google and get more new patients from online. Go to practicepromotions.net/kit to get our free practice marketing sample kit. It includes all our digital marketing tips and tricks that will get you new patients from Google. That's practicepromotions.net/kit, KIT, for a free marketing kit. And now back to the show.
Yeah, it's a great point because there's different people on different platforms, or same people just looking at things in a different way. So it's not
Yeah.
like you can just be on one thing. Like you just can't focus on Instagram. You just can't focus on Facebook. You might want to put a little bit more effort there depending on your audience. Like Rick said, if it's predominantly seniors, right, you want to put a bit more effort into maybe your Facebook, right? But they might even be doing more YouTube, right? Or it comes up in a search or something like that, right? And so I think it's really important to make sure that you are working across these different channels, and there's lots of different tools to make that easier to post across different places. Um, but yeah,
Shada,
I
what's
can agree more.
Shada, what's your favorite tool that you for our clients, like the social media accounts where you send it to you send that repurposed content across like all the platforms?
Yeah, I use Metricool, which is like a scheduling software. And you can
Yeah.
also do Google Business Listing. So a lot of clients, like I always say you should run your Google business listing like a social media platform because you can post content to it. And so you can include that within this tool. So this tool is, yeah, it's amazing. Like it makes it super easy to post across the channels, edit wherever you need to, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm curious, Shada, does it also like edit for the different like video sizes, or you have to upload that differently? Like because each platform has different like dimensions for like, like their video and or
mhm.
their post, right?
Yeah, I think for most platforms right now, it's more of like the real, like reels, the
Okay.
portrait dimensions. And so that's the same across like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram. There
Love it. Yeah.
really is very minimal landscape video anymore. So it's usually just the same dimensions.
So portrait or a square, right?
Yes, portrait or square, exactly.
Mhm. Love
And
it.
one thing I was just thinking of too is like for the people that run paid ads or want to do retargeting ads, that's also a really good benefit of using organic social media to test different pieces of content, see what performs well, and then you could actually run maybe that video that got 3,000 views organically as like an ad retargeting the people that have come to your Instagram or Facebook. And Rick, you and I have done this a ton, right? Of
Yeah.
post a video, 5,000 views. Okay, obviously it's a good piece of content. We're going to use this for a paid ad. And
Yeah.
we don't have to spend the money to test that, to validate that it's a good piece of content.
Do you want to
Yeah.
explain to people who don't understand what that means? Like maybe like very simply, like maybe in grade 5 language.
Yeah, so basically, through our content on social, we'll post a video. Like Rick and I posted a video of us talking at our summit in Orlando. It got 5,000 views and it was about a certain topic. So we said, okay, let's run this as a Facebook ad to target the people interested in this thing that relates to what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
then I take that piece of content, I put it in a Facebook ad, and I run it because I know from posting it for free on Instagram, it already got 5,000 views. So clearly it's a good piece of content, and now I can put money behind it and actually blast it out to a bunch of people in a super targeted way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So targeted. So meaning like they already visited your website. These are people who are familiar with your brand, like, going after like people who's in your website. They've seen other, whether it's, your Facebook or Instagram post, like view or whatever. And then all you're doing is like sending them like this ad of something that you did really well, right? And you tweak the call to action so that on that ad, it's like get them to buy or, right? And so that seemed to work really well for us, right, Shada? Like when it comes to kind of like our online social media marketing paid ads. And what we found that didn't work well, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this, Neil, is that typically when we, promote like, free this or buy this or book a call, like, or schedule a free consult on the social media, like posting,
Mhm.
you get no engagement because,
Yeah.
like, because
Yeah,
that,
because it's same as everybody else, right? And
yeah,
and
same as
you know,
everyone else. And
people on there for
it doesn't,
entertainment, so they want if they can see something that's interesting, right? They're going to stop, right, and pay attention.
but what's nice is with paid ads is because this is how they make money. You're paying them is like, hey, I'm paying you to like, like book a call or
Mhm.
or call the clinic, blah blah blah. So and that's how Instagram makes money. So they're okay with you spending money doing that, right? So Neil, is that something you see within like the accounts that you manage as well?
Yeah, again, I would say for those upper echelon clients that are really into that, right, and they're doing a lot of ads. I think what I tend to see is that a lot of people dabble, right? They'll try a little, Instagram ad or Facebook ad here or there, and then they're like, it didn't really work, or I'm not getting that much out of it, so they don't really put much into it. They're not really approaching it
Mm,
from where you are, which is more of like this, let's research, let's test, and then let's utilize what works, right? And then put that into this different, when you put it into ads, you're obviously going to have a way bigger reach too, because Facebook or Instagram is going to show you in front of a lot more people than just the organic posts alone, right? And then of course
yeah.
you can have what Rick was talking about, the call to action on that, where you can actually have an ideally a booked appointment out of it, right, or some level of interest.
Yeah.
And I love using, like, we've done a few Instagram reels that have performed well. So it's like the reel format, it just looks like an organic piece of content. Like, it doesn't look like an ad. And I think that's kind of the trick as to why we've seen this work so well. And it's also super cheap to get clicks from these types of ads because it just looks like a piece of content from the platform. It doesn't look like buy now, call now. This is
Yeah.
an ad.
And they don't even have to come up with like a 15-second snippet, right? They could have whatever fun thing that they're doing in the clinic or some, I don't know, educational thing that they're doing. And then you can chop that up. You can chop it up and you
Hmm.
can utilize that one thing, over so many different posts.
You see, Shada, I just thought about something. And that I don't know if you thought about this, but like, what will be a really good recruitment ad on Facebook for social media now is you take that amazing clinic culture reel, right? To everyone that's always like, they've seen your brand or they've been your website, and then you retarget them about the job posting.
Oh, yeah. That would
That's
be,
that's how
that's a
you do it.
good
All right.
funnel.
This is an
Someone
amazing
needs to
recruitment
try
funnel.
this.
What's that?
Yes.
Well, I think you're gonna start,
We're
you
gonna,
should test
I'll
it next
try it.
week.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
should work. If you had one of those like Josh Funk viral, like, team culture, like type of like, stuff. And then at the very bottom, like, hey, come work for us. This is what we get, but book a call, book a demo, like, and let's be honest, every person, like if you put a job posting out, whether through the association or through like Indeed, right? Um, these people been to your website or they looked at your social media. So you're going to actually just resend them these ads so that they can watch them. And then, but the thing they're going to watch now is like how cool your clinic is to work at, right? What do you
Mhm.
think, Gen Z?
I think that's a great idea.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. The other thing I wanted to mention here on like the organic side, which people may not be aware of, is that when it comes to Google, right? Google's everybody wants to rank high on Google, right, Rick? So the thing is that Google actually looks at your different social media accounts. So it's looking at your Facebook, your Instagram account. I don't know if they can get it to TikTok because it's Chinese owned, but maybe they can. But with Instagram and Facebook, it's looking at like how many posts you have, how many people comment on those posts. And so Google's actually scraping all that information, and that does help overall with your rankings when people are searching for, let's say, physical therapy near me. So
Yeah.
that's just one thing again for why you need to be putting a big emphasis on incorporating social media into your normal marketing rhythms, because it does affect everything else, from the way that your clinic will be found online.
And don't forget,
Yeah.
like don't forget Google business profiles. You should be
Mhm.
running like social media anyways. And
Right.
Neil, you know this for a fact, is that if these owners put really good content on their Google business profile and they run it like their Instagram account, you're going to see a lift in the calls and the website traffic.
Absolutely. It's going to be a huge lift on your local SEO for sure.
And that's the same type of content that you'll cut up like 6 or 7 different ways. And
Mhm.
then you're going to post it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you're going to use it for TikTok and then like YouTube, and then also it's going to be part of your monthly email newsletter. If it's good enough, you might even create a blog article out of it, right?
Mhm. So, I mean, one thing that, again, I'd love to just pick your brain on, Shada, is, and Rick, I mean, you work with a lot of clinic owners, right? And you can see all this potential, right? That they can be leveraging a lot of new patients, a lot of opportunities with new hires. The thing is the time, like, so like where where do you see clinic owners like leveraging this? Is it that they have good marketing directors in the clinic? Do they leverage outside sources? Like, do they do it all themselves? Like, what do you typically see?
Yeah, what I will typically see, and more of like what I suggest, is there's a certain piece of content creation that you can outsource outside of the clinic, and that's actually capturing the content. So you do need, like, I see a lot of clinics use an admin person or their clinic director who is just documenting things in the clinic and like through photos and videos. So obviously you can't get someone who's not in the clinic to do that.
Mhm.
But I see a lot of clinics outsourcing everything else. So they'll get, the content in the clinic, but then the video editing, the copywriting, pushing it out to the platform, seeing what's trending, they get an external company person to do that. And that seems to work really well because cost-wise too, you don't have someone full-time working in this marketing role if you're a smaller clinic and you can't afford that right now. So
Mhm.
that's like a common model I see. Rick, is there anything you would add to that?
Yeah, I would say another model is the owner just does it all himself or herself because she
Yes.
can't give up
Yeah.
control. And then because they're not really good at doing it, you get not really good content, but it's professional. And you get inconsistent postings because depending on what fire that you fight,
Mhm.
you're like, oh yeah, yeah. Like that's why you see some dormant accounts. You're like, hey, like, why is it that there has been a post in the last 3 months? 3 months, like Shay, like I think you did an audit of like maybe like 500 clinics, right? And what was it? 49% of them didn't have an
They
active,
haven't posted in the last two
right?
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. But these
Yeah.
are the same people. I'll leave you with this. We talked about like in our community 80-20, 80% of these people actually have call it this professional or outdated like social media account, and the other 20% is very active and like it's attracts the Gen Z, not only new patients but also new hires. Is that 20%, most of them typically don't have a problem with recruitment. That 80% that are have these dormant social media accounts or scratching their heads like, how come no one wants to work with me? I'm spending so much money on Indeed job postings, right? Because they're not connecting the fact that people like Shada and her cohort and the millennials as well is that like you've failed that first test because they go to your social media account. It hasn't been active for what, 3 months, Shada? You're like, okay, is this business about to let me ask you, like, if you saw that, like, what would you think?
Yeah, I would just think that they don't really exist. It's like, okay, there's no updates in the last 3 months. Like, that's a little weird.
Like, are they out of business? Like,
Are they out of business? Yeah.
It's just the same as if you haven't had a Google review in a year, right? People start
Yeah,
thinking,
yes.
exactly.
is anything happening here? So yeah, it's how people are checking you out online without you even knowing about it, right?
Yeah. And this game
So
we're in,
true.
Neil, like, I think, we've been to so many events. We had our own event, we go to PPS, we go to Web PT. Um, and the single biggest issue that every single practice owner in the US or even like worldwide has is recruitment, right? Just the shortage of staff. But there's this disconnect with their marketing funnel, right? And the
Yeah,
recruitment funnel. And if they start treating like recruitment like how they do marketing, and like Neil, you're good with that, like like your marketing is about getting them in the awareness stage, and then you move them up kind of the value ladder and all that other stuff. Like owners have to start treating that with recruitment.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the number one disconnect when I think clinics are struggling is they don't see the marketing need on the recruiting side, right? And so you again, it's how you're perceived online, and that's the number one place people are going right now when they're looking for a new job, right? Or considering, or sometimes not even considering a new job, right? And but if they all of a sudden someone shares you and you're found on their regular social media feed and sparks an interest, right? And so now you're actually in front of someone that wasn't even necessarily starting to look for a position, but actually that's the best kind of person to hire, right? Because they're usually
Mm,
very productive in their current job, but they see that maybe you're a little bit better.
yeah.
All right. Um, and then Shayna, in terms of when a people are putting stuff up there, what have you seen to work the best? Like what really grabs people's attention, shares, comments, all those kind of things?
Yeah, it's really all of the fun stuff. So there's definitely like a lot of trends that happen in social media. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, if you use it on your own time, but there's all these like different fun trends and like doing your own take as a clinic. Usually like a video trend, but doing your own take as a clinic I've seen work really well. So it's a lot of like the fun stuff. It's
Hmm.
very, educational stuff. It will do well for sure. I think those are the two, the educational content and the clinic culture content. But honestly, it's always video that performs well. I find with when you're not posting video, you're just posting like photos or graphics. It's usually only pushed out to people who are already following you.
Hmm.
But video, again, I see clinics that have 10 subscribers on YouTube get 13,000 views. So the reach is just exponentially greater. But yeah, those are the two types. So clinic culture and educational content, but making it fun, not making it,
Dry.
corporate, not dry.
Not dry. Yeah,
No
and
stock photos, right, Shada? Like, I think that's the number one mistake in social media, stock photos.
Yeah, please no stock photos.
yeah, you have to make your own content. And so I would be a big advocate. You probably see this a lot, Shada, when you're working with clinics and their social media, is that not necessarily having the owner be the content person, right? Having someone who's maybe younger in the clinic, right, be the person that's the chief content creator or content gatherer.
100%. Yeah, get a Gen Z to do it,
Yeah,
right? They're
yeah.
the ones that know the platforms. It's second nature. So of course it makes sense to have someone do that.
Mhm.
And they know what resonates too. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
I would
completely
have like
agree.
a clinic iPhone or something like that, right? Um, and then put a tech or an admin or someone else, in charge of gathering content, and they have to gather so many pieces of content, a week or a month for you.
And that's the thing too. I think people overthink it where they're like, "Hey, what I'm gonna create a video, like what do I need to do? I need to plan out this whole outline." And it's like, "No, you're just documenting what you guys already do. If you go to an event, like take a video, take a photo. If you go to a team dinner, take a photo. Like you're just documenting, you're really not creating." That's something I know Gary Vee says all the time, and I really believe it. People overthink it, they overplan. It's coming from this corporate angle of like everything needs to be picture perfect.
Mhm.
Whereas you just grab your phone for 2 minutes in the clinic and film something happening, that's going to perform way better, honestly, based on what I've seen. So document, don't create.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Shada, what's the thing that you talked about decorating like your phone and making it like this fun thing and
Oh,
this
yeah.
symbol at the clinic? Because I think you learned that with someone in our community. I thought it was like super cool.
Yeah, Sanjeev actually told me about that because there was a clinic that they have like the bejeweled phone. So they got a phone for the clinic for exactly this purpose, and they just made it like this super funky case with all these jewels and crazy things on it to make it look fun. And then people will just think of it like, oh, this is a good moment to capture. I'm gonna grab the bejeweled phone, and anyone can grab it.
Mhm.
So it's just a resource in the clinic, and that has been a way that a lot of clinics have gotten some good candid content.
That's
Bling
awesome.
bling. Yeah. And one thing I just want to add is I know what's also amazing is not only that you get really good content for social media, but when you get your staff doing all these awkward stuff, right? It actually boosts your clinic culture at your clinic because you're getting them to do things really outside their comfort zone. Like it's your chance of like forcing people, hey, I want you to just like give me a high five right here, or like like Shada, like maybe you could talk about that. Like you
Brings
think
the fun,
clinics come
right?
together, right? By using this, right?
Brings the fun in your clinic. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. And it's because people are not silly day to day usually. Like usually it's pretty mundane, you get your work done. You're not like doing these crazy, not crazy, but like you're not doing dances or like fun things with your coworkers all the time. So I hear that all the time. Like, okay, filming this video, it actually like brought the team closer. They were laughing at me because I had a clinic that did like a mobility challenge, which is like a really fun type of video to do, and the clinic owner could not do it at all. So everyone was just having like laughing at him with him, and just having fun in that way. So I definitely think a good side benefit is it does build the culture for sure.
Absolutely. I would say too, from a new patient side of things, that being able to people enjoy stories, right? So being able to tell this, I mean, there's hundreds of stories that happen within your clinic within a week or a month. So like social media is a perfect platform to share those stories, right? And of course, make sure you always have consent and things like that. But um, the transformational stories, people like just they glue on those kind of things, right? And if you can have the captions and things like that that go with those kind of fun stories, it could be something that people you can have a snippet, or you can make it a little bit longer story, but that's a great way to connect with people from a new patient perspective, and then probably too, even I would say from as you're recruiting. So again, it comes back to all that posting that's going up on your site, right? Sorry, up on your social media feeds. That's what people are looking at, and they see the stories that are happening from within the clinic. It's powerful.
Love
So,
it.
Sheena, you help a lot of clinic owners with their social media. You want to talk a little bit about some of the services that you offer?
Yeah, so through CA, like the last few years, I've been teaching a lot of these marketing things for social media specifically, and I found that it is tough to implement, especially if you're not Gen Z, to be honest, because it's not you didn't grow up on these platforms. So we decided to start this service where we do social media for you. And so we've started with quite a few clinics from our conference actually, and it's been pretty awesome to just see it come to life and um practice what we preach to. I really try to like keep it candid, no stock photos, no stock videos. I try to also lean on experience of being a Gen Z and thinking about, okay, what's the content that I want to see, and then doing that for clinics. So
Awesome. Yeah, and Rick and Shada, they just have an amazing group there at Clinic Accelerator. If you want to check them out, clinicaccelerator.com. Um, just a great group to work with, tons of useful advice from all different angles of running a practice, from marketing to operations and things like that. So Rick and Shada, any great words of wisdom here in our final words of advice?
I'll leave it with you, Shada, and I'll wrap up. Yeah.
okay, yeah, I would say the biggest thing is don't overthink it. Get someone in the Gen Z demographic to help you and document, don't create. So just, look at what you do every day, have fun with it, don't keep it corporate, and really like don't just have it as another thing on the to-do list. It is super important, especially if you're trying to recruit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
love it. And then I would say is like, yeah, don't use stock photos, everyone, and I think today's session we also had a lot of these amazing like tidbits. And so if you guys want to sign up for my my newsletter. I have a clinic owner newsletter, which I send out each week. In 5 minutes or less, we talk about everything about like money, marketing, and attracting Gen Z. So a lot of the conversations we have like here as well. And there's over 22,000 owners who get this email. Just go to clinicowner.com, and you can subscribe there.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely make sure you check that out. Sign up for that. It's a great resource. I get it every week. It's a lot of fun too. So clinicowner.com, easy sign up there for that nice email newsletter that comes from Rick and his crew there at Clinic Accelerator. So thanks, guys. It's been fantastic here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and I hope our audience goes out there and starts to really work on their social media presence.
Thanks
Awesome.
for
Thanks for
having
having us,
us.
Neil.
Awesome. All right. So Neil Turkett here from CEO Practice Promotions, just thanking everybody and wishing you much success in your practice.
Thank you for listening to the Practice Marketing Podcast. Don't forget to get your free practice marketing sample kit at practicepromotions.net/kit. Start 2024 off the right way by building marketing systems that automatically attract new patients from online. That's practicepromotions.net/kit.